Hello, my lovelies. So the next of the 7 goddess archetypes is the archetype of the wise woman. This archetype resides in our third eye, and it's very much related to our connection with our intuition. The archetype of the wise woman is a teacher. She is a highly psychic, highly intuitive. She pursues knowledge and shares the knowledge she's learned freely. She's somebody who has fully integrated her shadow and her light aspects. So she's done the self-exploration, she's done her healing work, and now she's ready to teach this to others. She's the embodiment of the woman who's able to turn her wounds into wisdom and her pain into purpose. So this is a beautiful archetype, and one that I resonate with a lot through my journey and through the experiences I've had. It's an archetype that I am still working with, and one that I always have to dip back into because as a teacher myself, it's an archetype that I'm trying to embody in its fullness, and one that I will continue to work on for the rest of my career. And that's the playful aspect of these archetypes. It's something that you can continue exploring in its different facets, because there's so many goddesses and so much mythology that revolves around the wise woman, or the crone, as it's also sometimes known. So one that I've always been very drawn to, and one that I just love dipping in and out of as I grow my career, as I grow my business, and as I grow as a teacher. In its overactive state, the archetype of the wise woman is lonely, but sometimes doesn't reach out for community. So she is someone who yearns for connection but doesn't reach for it. She self-isolates and sometimes pursues knowledge in terms of power, as opposed to in order to just share it. This archetype can also be very obsessed with perfection. It can be overly critical. It can identify with the animus more, which is in Carl Jung's psychology. The animus is related to our masculine energy. So sometimes this archetype, as the wise woman, can, in its overactive state, can overly identify with the patriarchy and almost keep the status quo because of her sense of identification with the animus energy. So in its overactive state, the archetype of the wise woman can be a little bit of have a little bit of a superiority complex. In her underactive state, it's a very hermit-like energy. So it would be quite introverted, and also a little bit detached. She would use her knowledge as a shield to keep her distance from other people. As an underactive force, she could also be somebody who really struggles with vulnerability or getting in touch with her emotions. She's all in her head. I certainly know that in my underactive archetype, I can be very caught up in my head and super analytical, and I don't dip back into my intuition and bring that energy from the mind back down into my heart chakra and my sacral chakra and feel into it. So that's almost like living from the neck up, which people with trauma sometimes do. So it's an archetype that I've been working with a lot, especially to balance it out, to balance the masculine with the feminine. Our analytical side is something to be integrated, because once balanced with our intuitive side, it can be a superpower. So goddesses to work with this archetype are Hecate. She's the goddess of witches, and Ceridwen is a Celtic goddess. So she very much embodies this ancient teacher's energy. Her mythology is one that's super fun. I don't have enough time to go into it, but one that you should definitely explore if you're attracted to this archetype. And Grandmother Spider-Woman is another one that just fully embodies this teacher archetype. She's an elder, and she is somebody who uses her pain and turns that into something to gift to others. So I hope that this has been helpful, and the last archetype is coming up soon.